Breaking news tonight. The most sophisticated domestic infiltration in U.S. history has just been exposed.
We just found a reinforced transport tunnel buried 50 feet directly beneath this concrete floor.
The mastermind? Not a typical cartel boss, but a retired Army general. And she has an extremely dangerous insurance policy.
3:14 in the morning, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, Texas. Blue fluorescent lights flickered over the 2 million tons of cargo transported annually, while the city of Dallas and the surrounding suburb of Plano were shrouded in absolute silence. This was one of the busiest cargo corridors in the Western Hemisphere, handling billions of dollars of legitimate trade through its terminals each week. Inside Terminal 7, the heavy footsteps of the DEA team echoed against the high steel ceiling. 12 wooden crates lay on the cold concrete floor, labeled as priority surgical equipment and pre-inspected for immediate release by airport authorities. They looked perfect, bearing official customs seals and wrapped in sterile plastic. With a sudden metallic screech, the agents pried open the first crate, revealing the truth hidden beneath. This was a masterful domestic infiltration. From this astonishing anomaly, a 14-month investigation into a mysterious network finally begins to unfold, and to follow all the thrilling developments of this case, remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any chapters. 6 hours after the Dallas raid inside the sterile windowless rooms of the FBI's Cybersecurity Command in Quantico, Virginia, the atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. Two elite analysts from the Bureau's critical infrastructure team stared at a massive screen as they relentlessly cracked the military-grade encryption of a single seized hard drive. They were hunting for the contents of a file labeled Blueprint, a 6.4 gigabyte archive that agents believed contained the secrets of a vast criminal empire. At precisely 11:47 a.m., the final layer of security crumbled, and the screen exploded with a torrent of data plunging the room into absolute silence. This was a living, breathing corruption architecture, which analysts eventually dubbed Operation Iron Corridor. Beneath the surface of the code, 31 shell companies emerged, nestled like Russian dolls inside agricultural companies, massive shipping corporations, and even two charities registered in Houston. It was a phantom financial network designed to move millions of dollars through offshore accounts in Belize and Cyprus before laundering the money back into Texas as legitimate construction payments. Maria Torres, a 12-year veteran of the Bureau, leaned back from her computer, her face pale under the flickering fluorescent lights. She realized the drugs were just the commodity. The real product was the system itself. Inside a subfolder, the team found payment records, but no names were listed, only employee numbers and specific amounts. 14 different airport employees, from baggage handlers to security supervisors, received monthly consulting fees disguised as aviation security payments. They were paid $24,000 a month simply to turn a blind eye while the Sinaloa cartel transported goods through Terminal 7. Aside from Daniel Mercer's employee ID, the total payments amounted to $264,000 in less than a year. Tracking the digital footprint, analysts realized the scale of the corruption was far greater than that of a single airport manager or terminal. According to the blueprints, there existed a chain of secondary authority, a much higher level of security than the airport authority, belonging to a mysterious figure identified only as a cardinal. In the quiet of the Quantico lab, the truth gradually emerged. Someone with high-level federal access was protecting this corridor from the very top. From every pre-approved security code to every diverted inspection, the trail led back to this single mysterious entity. By cross-referencing military attaché records and federal security logs, the team began to uncover the man who had turned the U.S. border into a private cartel highway. Red markers began flashing across Texas's digital map, revealing 31 entry points stretching from the Houston docks to the cargo holds of El Paso. The operation went completely unpunished, the money flowing in a sophisticated, brutal, and utterly invisible manner to standard banking alerts because it was built into America's own commercial infrastructure. It was the most operationally sophisticated domestic infiltration the FBI had ever documented, turning the law into a weapon for the highest bidder. With the discovery of Cardinal, the investigation shifts from a local drug bust to a high-stakes hunt for a traitor lurking within the federal government. An analyst whispers to his superiors that they are investigating a hostile takeover of the state's logistics system. Each $189 million drug shipment is personally overseen by someone who knows exactly how to bypass the sensors he himself helped install. The hunt for Cardinal is no longer about stopping drugs, but about protecting the integrity of the U.S. border. Armed with decryption keys, the task force prepares for a statewide mobilization, targeting the highest levels of power in Texas.
The new center has exceeded all expectations.
At 6:44 a.m. in the upscale Stone Oak neighborhood of San Antonio, the suburban silence was broken by the roar of an armored SUV engine. Federal agents in tactical gear moved with practiced precision toward a vast limestone estate owned by a man who once held the keys to the nation's most sensitive border secrets. Instead of hiding in a basement or clutching weapons, the target sat calmly at his mahogany desk in his office, his shirt neatly pressed and sipping black coffee. Behind him, a wall was covered with framed commendations and military photographs, a grim reminder of a 30-year career dedicated to protecting the United States. Retired Brigadier General Howard Voss, known to the digital world only as Cardinal, didn't look like a drug lord, but he was the undisputed architect of the Iron Corridor. He offered no resistance as the steel handcuffs clicked around his wrists, and he uttered no protest as his access to top-secret information was immediately revoked. By arresting him, the task force had dismantled a legend of the American military, a man who had transitioned from the battlefield to the boardroom with terrifying ease. Voss stared at the chief investigator with a chilling calmness, a look that suggested this moment was a calculated move. For 3 years, this man had personally lobbied to expand his preemptive control at Platform 7, personally drafting the inspection procedures that he would later teach the Sinaloa Cartel to exploit. It was a system that operated exactly as its creator had intended. Inside the server rack seized from his home, analysts uncovered the true reason for his eerie calm, a death switch preloaded with a backup archive. This digital bomb, encrypted with military-grade algorithms, was set to automatically deploy to 14 major media organizations if the general failed to log in every 72 hours. The document contained the names of 23 police officers, 7 Border Patrol agents, 4 incumbent judges, and 11 state legislators, all meticulously documented by Voss as a form of personal insurance. Through documenting his own corrupt practices, he had turned the entire Texas justice system into a personal shield, ensuring that his downfall would lead to the collapse of the state's power structure. The FBI task force commander standing in the general's opulent office realized they were walking into a trap. They had spent 14 months hunting a phantom, only to discover that the phantom was the very man who had built the house they were standing in. Across the room, a secure laptop remained open, displaying live footage from the very cargo holds where Daniel Mercer had been apprehended just hours earlier. Voss had watched the entire operation unfold in real time, like an audience witnessing the collapse of his own network with the cold indifference of a chess grandmaster watching a game. He knew that though the drugs were gone, the names on his server were worth more than any shipment of cocaine or fentanyl. At this level of the game, power wasn't measured in kilograms, but in the silence of those too bound to speak. The agents began pulling out crates of confidential documents, but the atmosphere remained heavy with the awareness that General Voss was still the master of the room.
Check the
He was the
bookshelf.
one who created
Nothing
this
here.
hallway,
Move to the
and
desk.
as he was led to the waiting car, he glanced back at his house one last time with a twisted, bizarre, and sinister smirk. At 5:23 a.m., the Joint Task Force Command Center in San Antonio became the nerve center for the largest domestic law enforcement operation in Texas history. 1,200 federal agents, 18 Black Hawk helicopters, and 60 SWAT teams received their final deployment orders across 3 different time zones. They were going beyond simple drug depots to dismantle a parallel government that had successfully replaced the U.S. Constitution with the cold logic of the Sinaloa Cartel. On the digital map on the main screen, 44 red markers flashed like fever, stretching from the ports of Houston to the desert plains of El Paso. The blueprint revealed a multi-generational project designed to franchise the corrupt practices of Terminal 7 across 11 different states. It transformed legitimate transportation routes into high-speed drug trafficking lanes, transporting 4.2 tons of poison per week without any federal alert. In the border city of Laredo, agents raided a commercial warehouse where they discovered a tunnel system buried 50 feet beneath the concrete floor. The tunnel, stretching 1,150 feet, was reinforced with steel beams equipped with industrial rails and a ventilation system allowing for the silent transport of thousands of pounds of goods. Along Interstate 35 DEA, tactical units intercepted refrigerated trucks appearing to be carrying frozen fish, but actually mobile storage units containing 680,000 fentanyl pills. The forged patrol logs created by bribed Border Patrol agents established invisible safe windows through which entire convoys could cross the border, while official records showed the area was under close surveillance. General Voss provided the cartel with internal raid schedules and the precise radio frequencies used by federal intercept teams. 35 miles west, outside the city of Odessa, a massive desert lab was raided by a specialized chemical response team. This facility produced 1,100 pounds of methamphetamine every 7 days, using industrial precursors imported through the very cargo holds controlled by Mercer in Dallas. They found evidence that the lab was protected by a local district judge who had systematically dismissed 9 drug cases involving the same Sinaloa logistics coordinators. In the coastal city of McAllen, the operation took an even darker turn when ICE task forces raided a human trafficking hub. 47 victims were rescued from a cramped basement, including 11 minors who were being processed through the same logistics network as drugs and cash. These individuals were treated like shipping bills moving through a system with no room for mercy or the law. Across the state of Texas, the total seizures amounted to a staggering 8.4 tons of drugs and $67 million in liquid assets. 340 arrests were made in a single morning, ranging from street-level law enforcement officers to state legislators who had accepted bribes to protect the cartel's transport permits. We are facing an underground infrastructure that has infiltrated every level of government, from way stations on highways to benches in federal courts. Under the weight of this evidence, the FBI chief admitted in a closed-door meeting that the Bureau was fighting a drug cartel, a mirror image of their own organization. The Constitution had been quietly discarded, replaced by a pay-to-play model, where badges were merely a license to facilitate transnational crime at the highest level. This network transported influence, ensuring that those who swore to protect the public were the ones who benefited from its destruction. As the sun set over the San Antonio Command Center, the iron corridor appeared to have been dismantled, the tunnels sealed with concrete and the leaders shackled. The massive amount of data seized shows that the 14-month investigation was only the first chapter in a much larger battle for the soul of the nation. It reveals a horrifying truth: when the system itself becomes criminal, there is no one left to call upon for help. Throughout central Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, this gang operated a fleet of 500 large trucks, all registered with forged farm permits, allowing them to bypass traditional weighbridge checkpoints. These trucks were modified with secret hydraulic cargo compartments, each capable of holding 500 pounds of goods, while the drivers carried forged manifests. At the end of the longest day in the history of the Dallas field office, the celebrations at the command center were cut short by a chilling discovery. A hidden partition buried deep inside the last server, seized from General Voss, contained a folder dated just 3 weeks before the raid. It was labeled Phase 2, and its contents proved that the Iron Corridor was never a single pipeline, but a scalable franchise business model. Beneath the layers of encryption, agents found 3 new pre-authorized authentication codes and 3 names the FBI had never seen on any watch list. New airport cargo corridors in Houston, Miami, and a major port hub in the Pacific Northwest had been listed as fully operational nodes. They had bypassed the existing system and redesigned entire infrastructures to survive after losing its original creators. In the files, the price of this administrative silence is measured by 2,400 drug overdose deaths recorded in Texas in just 1 year. True power doesn't always require violence or guns, because sometimes it only needs a badge and a signature pointing the wrong way. This story serves as a warning and a terrifying picture of what's happening in other cities while the public turns a blind eye. If you've heard this far, please hit the like button so this investigation reaches those who need to hear the truth. Your participation through the use of the word expose in the comments will help bring these underground networks out of the shadows and into the light.